political leanings are, but if you consider yourself a patriot of the NCR, that must really, really sting. In this moment of unforeseen, inconceivable reversal, you must be thinking, how did this happen? It boils down to one simple characteristic: resolve. When you killed Sergio, I resolved to make you suffer to your last breath. Maybe you're thinking of ways to break from your bonds, disarm me, kill the guards, save the day. Not this time. Whatever happens next, you're going to be utterly powerless to stop me. Doesn't that just burn you up? If you didn't have that gag, I can only imagine what you might be saying. Well, I'm a cautious fellow, so I want to be safe. I can't risk any interruptions during my theatrics. Nothing is worse than a disruptive audience.
One of you fucking...
Right through the hands. That does look painful. You won't be opening any jars again, much less handling a weapon. Even with the pain, I wonder if you're consumed by rage or dread. Neither benefits you, but dread suggests an honesty that I have to admire. Were you expecting a fair fight? A climactic showdown in the street? Sergio tried it that way, didn't he? My brother had heart, I'll give him that. I've never had a mind for fair fights, though I've won my share. I prefer domination, and most importantly, survival. That's all that matters. You want to speak, don't you? No doubt you have a pithy retort or some eloquent overture prepared that would convince me to throw down my arms. Not tonight. This time you'll be silent, like a dog following its owner. When this is over, you'll acknowledge me as your master. You're going to beg for death. You'll pray to God for it to end, but he won't listen. Only when you pray to me will you gain release. But that can wait. Right now I'm an official agent of the New California Republic, warden of their new outpost in Frostville. In my administration, law and order will be upheld without exception. Why not get off to a strong start here and now?
Word.
By the powers invested in me by the New California Republic, I hereby authorize these agents of the justice system to collect unlawful bounties.
Barde.
So it was done, all according to the law. Randall, you came so far only to taste the bitterness of defeat again. Deep down you knew it would end this way. Ford, you were quite eager to betray Mr. Randall. Why don't you do the honors?
You son of a bitch!
Now, what are we going to do with you? I could put a round in your head, make it quick, clean. Then again, that's been tried. I don't fear failure so much as being unoriginal. No, I've got something better in mind. You ever hear stories of drunks being buried alive? Since you're not in a position to speak, I'll take your indignant squinting as a yes, so I'll continue. When a man is buried alive in, say, a coffin, he might have 30 minutes or so to live. Trust me, I know. I've seen it firsthand. It's one heck of an interrogation technique, acting like you're burying them. I leave them down there for a bit, then pull them up. They always come up gasping. A few even lose their minds in that short span. I guess it's the darkness and the noise. Imagine, your breathing is strained, dust fills your mouth and eyes, and you hear the weight of earth shifting above you. It's inexorable death. That's why I saved you for last. I want you to feel that terror as you dwell on what transpired here tonight, how you were beaten. No matter how hard you are, the terror will take you eventually. In that moment, when you're wishing for it all to end, just remember, I was the one man who beat you, and that's what people will remember, what they'll say for years to come. It isn't just your body that I'm burying tonight, it's your legend.
Hey, boss, you sure you don't want me to shoot him first?
No, I want the courier to suffer to the last. You hear that, friend? Of course you can, even with that hood on. Is the coffin comfy? Just so you know, I'm putting you in an unmarked grave in the middle of nowhere. From a legal standpoint, you will have simply vanished. You're going to be just another anonymous stiff. You afraid now? Just let it wash over you. Don't fight it. You're so close to the end. I wonder how you might have molded the Mojave if you'd lived. I'm sure people will speculate to no end. They'll forget you, though. They always do. At this moment of acute reflection, I wonder if you appreciate the futility of your efforts. Your mentor is dead. Really dead. I'll face no legal or governmental consequences. Quite the contrary. I'll become a respected citizen, leaving this town while the worms gnaw on your rotting corpse. You remember that when the air thins out. If you could do it all over again, would you even come here? So much to ponder in the darkness. Rest easy. Close it up, boys. How in the... I should have known. I deliberately provided simple instructions, yet people can't manage if I'm not supervising. I do hate leadership at times. There's no way you can be healed up. Why even come here? You can't win this fight. You're broken and alone. You lost. You could have walked out of this canyon and I'd never have given you a second thought. Apparently, I'm just not good at vengeance. You killed my brother, so I maimed and humiliated you, then slaughtered a town and forced you to watch. That's more or less even, right? I know you're anxious to spew some venomous diatribe, but permit me a moment. Let's say that a miracle occurs and you killed me. You'll limp back to the Mojave with a broken body, your myth shattered. People will only remember your feelings. They're just lousy that way. They won't talk about how you killed me. They'll mock you for getting captured and allowing the town to get butchered. You had a good thing in the Mojave. You should have stayed there. Quite a stage we have here, huh? Audience of dead men. Go ahead, tell me how I'm destined for the infernal reaches or all manner of mutilation. I'm sure it will be very bold and original. Oh, how sentimental of you, using Randall's old piece. I knew I shouldn't have buried that stuff with you. You know, I've also got a revolver that I've used over the years. I call it Old Scratch. Not sure exactly what inspired the name, it just stuck. I'm normally not keen on religion, but sometimes I think this old Roscoe has a hunger for souls. Crazy, right? So it's your Remington versus Old Scratch. Sounds like a pre-war monster movie. Wouldn't it be ironic if that's all that people remembered? Pardon me, I'm normally not so glib in these moments, but the tension is just invigorating. It's time. How in the... For... It'll take more than that.
And so it was that the clash between the courier and Marco had come to its conclusion. Their actions had reshaped Frost Hill and irrevocably changed the fortunes of numerous inhabitants.
Shortly before the massacre at Frost Hill, an argument between Cocker and Cuddy resulted in Cuddy actually walking the fuck out the door. Cocker insisted on following Cuddy as he walked out of the Deep Creek Mountains, berating him the entire time. This continued for several weeks until Cuddy walked to an NCR recruiting station and enlisted to spite Cocker. Undeterred, Cocker enlisted beside his friend and immediately volunteered for frontline duty. Insistent that Cocker was in fact a pussy, Cuddy volunteered for the same.
Thanks to the courier's largesse, Dana was able to retain ownership of the family farm. In time, she managed to salvage their fortunes. She eventually made a deal to sell produce and livestock to the Crimson Caravan, ensuring stable income for her foreseeable future.
Forsaking his criminal past, Doolin quietly headed west and reunited with his relatives on the family farm. While there was always some distance between Doolin and his kin, he eventually found peace through steady, honest industry. He often wondered what became of the courier who had shown mercy when there was no reason to give it. Doolin died in his sleep several decades later.
For all his rage and ferocity, Porter could not cope with the courier's fatal attack. His frozen corpse would endure as a testament to the power of the courier.
Though sure of himself at the time, Lee's decision to fight the courier resulted in quick death. His cadaver was dumped on the outskirts of town, where it was torn asunder and consumed by local predators.
Godwin continued raising bighorners while secretly manufacturing mail bombs sent to NCR offices. His attacks claimed the lives of dozens of officials and innocent civilians in the years that followed. Godwin would never face justice.
Frost continued to move from town to town, always vigilant against the threat of assassination. Eventually, he headed towards the Great Plains, and he was never seen again.
Ford's dream of becoming a wasteland legend died with him in Frost Hill when he met the Courier's wrath. In the final seconds before he died, Ford had hoped he'd earn his own chapter in the next dime novel about the Courier.
Like the courier, Cooper survived the ordeal of near death and became closer to his new master as a result. He followed the courier to the Mojave, determined to remain a loyal companion no matter the end.
Just north of Mojave, Thorne said his goodbyes to the courier and headed towards the setting sun. Unwilling to return to his home, Thorne decided he would reconnect with the followers of the apocalypse and renew his career in medicine. By assisting the helpless and healing the infirm, Thorne was able to move past the events at Frost Hill. He prayed that the courier could do the same.
Fresh off his successful operation to annex the Deep Creek Mountains, Brookshire was warmly received by his superiors at the NCR Embassy. After he ferried the surviving orphans of Frost Hill to state homes, Brookshire quietly filed a report that classified the courier as MIA. For his efforts, he was awarded with a promotion and a special commendation. His agency's director would call him a model for us all. Brookshire then planned his next operation from within the embassy, confident of his success, never considering that the courier might return.
In spite of his best efforts to evade the courier, Glanton finally met his end, deep inside Knife Point Cavern. Glanton's surviving supporters hailed him as a martyr, and soon hunted the courier in a quest for retribution.
In the end, Marco was undone by the very trait he so often touted, resolve. The courier persevered through pain and death in order to claim victory. Without his strong leadership, the NCR outpost at Frostville floundered. Once the 80s resumed their raids, the town was abandoned. Even after his death, Marco's name incurred fear and dread whenever it was muttered. His body had perished, but the legend endured.
Despite Marco's best-laid plans, the Courier battled back from the brink of death and prevailed in the legendary duel. Though Marco was dead, the Courier had not emerged from the contest unscathed. He would bear physical and mental scars for the rest of his life. Quietly enduring his injuries, he steadily limped back to the Mojave wasteland, where uncertainty and war awaited him.
Welcome, sir or madam.
the ski lodge to the northwest. If you should find it, do not, repeat, do not belittle a super mutant for taking the buddy slope. Also in the headlines, witnesses report a huge object or creature surfacing in Lake Mead. So far, photos of the so-called Lake Mead monster are grainy and underexposed. That news was brought to you by the Tops Casino. You dig us, baby. We're the Tops. Gonna play a song for you right now, and it's about that special someone you find only once in a blue moon.
Wish I could have been there to see Caesar die. What an asshole.